Pest Posse TV, the pest control industry's original pest control television network, is brought to you by the support from Nisus and Syngenta, and in partnership with Pest Management Professional Magazine. This episode of Pest Posse TV is brought to you by Avion Trio Cockroach Gel Bait. Cockroaches have no room to escape from Avion Trio Cockroach Gel Bait, featuring the active ingredient indoxacarb alongside 2 insect growth regulators. This combination interrupts the cockroach life cycle by preventing egg production, nymph maturation, and chitin production, all which contribute to complete cockroach population control. Stop cockroaches at every stage with Avion Trio. Welcome to Pest Posse TV, the industry's first and original pest control television network. Out today, I believe we've got a real good episode. We have brought Tim Houston from Syngenta back in the house. He's just a wealth of information, and we're going to be talking about those cockroach controls, German cockroach control, and talking a little bit about Avion Trio cockroach bait. That's right, it's a new bait from Syngenta. We're not going to get too much into the weeds on this product, but hey, stay tuned for a future episode where we're going to deep dive with Tim all about Avion Trio. But in the meantime, that's right, we've also got Cully, the visionary and creator here at the Pest Posse, along with us to make this discussion just be more lively and more engaging for all of you PMPs. So without further ado, let's switcheroo things and let's bring on Tim and Cully.
Hopefully some of you folks out there remember my face from previous episodes. But once again, just technical service rep. I kind of interlope communications, marketing, sales, and technical service with our R&D teams at Syngenta. So helping bring innovative solutions to the problems that we're dealing with today. That's what we do at Syngenta.
Excellent. Yep, you guys got a lot of great products. And again, we're just so grateful you're back on here. Thanks for your time today, Tim. We certainly do appreciate it because, yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about cockroaches and control today. So, again, just appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Syngenta is one of my favorite companies. I love the Avion line. That indoxacarb does a great job. And I've solved numerous problems with those products. So let's jump right in. Tim, what is your favorite cockroach species and why?
Oh, favorite cockroach species is easy. It's going to be the German cockroach. I always say German cockroaches are definitely domesticated, if not full-on commensal with humans, versus most other cockroach species could stand to live without us or could live off of detritus or, rotting organic matter somewhere on the ground outside. But German cockroaches have kind of filled a niche of being, the human's garbage compactor, something along those lines where wherever we are, they will be there too eventually. So, I mean, point A, they've been with us and living in and around us for a long, long time. To my point where I'm giving talks about it, I say borderline commensal. Normally we save that commensal for, the much smarter mammal pests, rodents that we deal with. But German cockroaches, I mean, they're different from all the other cockroaches. Population dynamics, you can go through, borderline exponential growth of populations of cockroaches. They breed significantly faster. Some of the habits of that reproductive female, taking care of the egg case, the ootheca, versus other cockroaches don't give two cares about what happens to it. They make it. It could take up to a year, and then they just leave it somewhere like it's no big deal, and hope that they survive or make it. Versus that female German, that female German cock. I mean, it's like borderline parental care again, which is very rare. Earwigs do it, things like that. But, caring for your young and making sure they survive, as long as she survives, they survive. That's way different with the German cockroach compared to other species that we deal with. That leads to that huge population growth and the challenge they present. And the challenge they present often drives revenue, which is the name of the game, right? Got to have revenue. German cockroaches, I think, went back up went up a notch in terms of where they were, had fallen down a few rungs in terms of pest control revenue, annual pest control revenue in the United States, but I believe they went back up in 2023, which is a sign that either A, people weren't, it's not that we're not doing as good of a job. I think hopefully we charge more, right, to do our work, so that would drive more revenue. We're killing the same amount of cockroaches, but they're a huge part of our business, right? You go back 20 years ago when I was just in elementary. Wait, did I say 20? I mean like 30, 35 years ago.
I was going to say, what are you doing, making yourself younger there, Tim? Come on.
Yeah, I'm Benjamin Buttoning myself back right now. Okay? No, but you go back to that, like pest control in the 80s, German cockroaches and fleas were
huge.
That was driving the ship, man, and they kind of regressed away from that with some of the tools we'll be talking about today, led to that regression in terms of how much of a driver they were, but there still is a huge chunk of revenue and hopefully a huge chunk of profit coming in from the German cockroach. That was a long-winded answer, Coley.
It was,
right.
but and that's good.
I liked it because it was well thought through. There was depth there.
Yeah,
I liked it.
Depth and I are not words that go together. Depth.
But
Coley is so nice. Okay,
he is nice. He is nice.
Yeah.
But you did. But there was. I mean, that was a long answer. But there were, again, like Coley said, there was a lot of depth to that. There was a lot to that, because there is a lot really to the German cockroaches that we really need to be aware of. And I like it, as you stated. Really being a commensal, type of insect. Yeah, because it wants to be around us. It wants to be around where us humans are. It wants to be where that food source is. Be in those kitchens. Be in those, those apartments and all those areas and everything. And when we're looking at that, I guess that kind of even really springboards us off to the next question. And, we've had this before, and we've talked to you with other species that we've talked about and other pests. But when we're looking at these cockroaches and we're going in as a PMP, why is it important that the PMP identifies the species of cockroach that he's dealing with? Why shouldn't he just go in there with...
Interview's not about me. Sorry, Tim.
Oh, yeah. Probably want to take No. Why
should he just not go in and, why should he identify what's going on? Why isn't it just okay to go in and put down an Avian product, just maybe spray the place down? Why should we be identifying the species of cockroach? Does it really matter?
Well, it certainly does, and our interior cockroaches, when you're talking about German cockroaches versus brown banded cockroaches versus American versus Turkestan versus Oriental or whatever else you've got coming into the structure that you're in, as soon as you've made an identification, that can key you in on potential harborage areas, potential conducive conditions. Some of those paradomestic, the larger ones, could trace you down pipes or wall voids, or you're going way different directions than you would a German cockroach. In the Southeast U.S., but I live up Midwest now, but I used to live in the Southeast U.S. where we had the Asian cockroach, which looked identical to the German cockroach. Literally, they look the exact same. They have different behaviors and different things that they do that you can help use to differentiate those two. But even in that instance, if you're not looking at the DNA or like the oils in the cuticle on that cockroach, it's very hard to make an ID unless you see one of these Asian cockroaches physically fly. Because the German cockroach would never do that. The German cockroach would never even climb up a wall and then glide. Versus these other agents, they'll take off from flight into flight, which is different. And they're living outside and they're attracted to lights at night and coming in the structure and have no real want or need to be inside at all. That made it a lot harder. But stepping it back like 4 steps from where we even started this, I just think that identification is the first key to what a customer is actually paying you for, or this idea of we're the professionals, act like it. That's one of those things that I say a lot, is providing an ID separates us from someone else who might want to try to do something by themselves, who might want to, think they know what they're doing, versus like, yeah, hey, I have correctly ID'd, or I have a resource on my team that can correctly ID this. And then here's what here's what I can say to this customer about them to set their mind at ease that, hey, I do know this guy does know what he's talking about. There's no way he could make up this much random stuff. But no, once you ID'd something and then you know those next ding, 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 like these 3 points, and you get good about talking about those 3 points after you've made a correct ID, a light bulb's going off in that customer's head saying this person knows what they're doing.
Want superior ant and cockroach control? Get the right tools for the job. Trust Advion and OptiGuard brand gel baits for industry-leading control.
What are 3 mistakes you think technicians make when treating cockroaches?
I would say, for starters, oftentimes we're not assessing the entirety of the population that you're dealing with, and regardless of what control tactic, chemical control tactic you're deploying, if you haven't assessed, through glue boards, monitors, through flushing of motor housing or into a void that there's egress from the floor wall junction or something like that, if we haven't looked or flushed into there and seen what kind of population comes running out to us in an area, if you're just saying, well, I haven't seen any on the glue board over here in a long time, which must mean I'm doing pretty good, right? That's not really a thorough inspection, a visual inspection that's going to allow you to assess what you've done. And you have to start there. And then sometimes we're not giving ourselves enough time to perform a service, which is also based off assessment. I need to have some assessment of the population I'm dealing with, and then I need to make sure I'm putting out enough product to either what's the word I'm looking for? To either make sure that I get a complete as I possibly can of that product or that control measure on that population. Eradication is not always an option, right? Management is the option, right? But a complete management plan of some sort. But oftentimes we get into way too big of a hurry with what we're doing, and when we're finally, putting out the control measures that we're implementing. Last mistake would probably be we're not telling them how long should they expect to see cockroaches after we leave. How long should what I did today take to work? When will I be back next? All of those things are very key to a successful service.
Yeah, totally would agree with that. I great points that you made with that on that. And you kind of mentioned a little bit as far as the control measures for these cockroaches. I mean, let's talk about that real quick here as far as, what are really the best control methods when we're looking for these cockroaches on the inside. Let's just bring it into with the German cockroach. What are we looking at would be, these days, what are you finding really is the best control methods?
Well, the best control method is always going to start, in my opinion, there's debate out there whether or not you need sanitation as part of a lasting management plan, or if baits alone can solve a problem. And I'm of the inkling where, no, I always want some degree of sanitation or physical exclusion. So that's got to be the bedrock control method. I always say anything you can do to stress out the German cockroach is only going to help you. There was a paper published last year in the journal Science, and its title was Stigmataxic deprivation in the German cockroach. And they literally just looked at giving, mated German cockroach, gravid female German cockroaches, different paper arenas that they folded at different angles. And the tighter the angle, of course, more eggs not only survived with her, but hatched and grew to making their own offspring. Like, it was a more successful harborage. And you'd think, how is this not known yet? Like, how is this cutting edge science? But that's where we are in our industry still, is we have a lot of things and best practices that we know and we've passed down through multiple generations of people doing pest control and this and that. But these guys were finally the first people to have a show, like physically show statistically the impact of just the space where you're allowing her to feel comfortable. You take that away. You take away the metal sheeting that's come off the wall behind the cook line in your commercial kitchen or something like that. You just take that away. Then she has to go give birth somewhere else. and she's not going to be as happy wherever somewhere else is, right? It's like I had my favorite hospital all picked out, and at the last minute, the insurance wouldn't let me go there, and now I got to go over here, right? And people, you're not happy. But that's the long-winded story again about. But it was a really neat paper, Thigmatasis deprivation in the German cockroach, cutting-edge research on meaningful pest control stuff. But there's residual sprays out there. There's baits, right? Baits should be the bedrock chemical control tool that you're relying on. I think it's of pertinent importance that we not forget the role of just simply stressing out the cockroach. There's not enough to eat. There's not enough water to drink.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like where I'm living, right? That's the pest control triangle, just in different words.
Yeah.
I think that, I know for us, as we stress kind of that reality that you still can get control without that, right? It's not so much that isn't vital, that it wouldn't be great, that it doesn't help your efforts. Absolutely it does. But too many technicians, I think, over the years use that as an excuse that, oh, I can't get control now, and they just kind of throw up their hands and walk away. And that's not really acceptable. The other thing is sometimes it takes a while to get those people that you're working with to actually take the time to do the sanitation stuff, right? So let's talk about materials. What are some of the best materials for controlling cockroaches?
I alluded to it earlier when we're talking about chemical control tools. So we're talking about baits, or there are still liquid sprays that are very viable cockroach control tools. But baits have really been the one that have, that, like I said, took roaches from being a number one or number two revenue pest and pushed them down because they were so effective at what they did. A lot of this stems from, our product. I'll just use our product as the example. In Doxcarver, the Advion product line, right? Advion cockroach gel bait, the first product that came out of that product line, is 18 years old, right? It can vote elections. 18 years old. It seems weird. I've pretty much been using it my whole life in pest control. But 18 years old. But the thing with Advion, or the thing with the Doxacarb, was it provided this it was documented out there in some of the other bait AIs like Fipronil or something like that, but it really upped the ante in this terms of next level secondary and tertiary kill. So you weren't just killing the one that ate the bait. You weren't just killing the ones that interacted with the one that ate the bait. You were killing next level, and even next level beyond that, quaternary or fourth level of cockroaches, whether that be interacting with, cockroach feces or cockroach, roaches are disgusting things. They're pooping constantly. They're puking. They don't have an off switch. They eat too much. They barf up food for the young to eat. Once they're dead, their body liquefies and the other roaches will eat that. It's not a clean place. Which highlights their role in, being a serious public health pest also, which we haven't even really breached. But that whole next level effect of these active ingredients that are in products, and how the bait established them to move, not just with the one that ate it and came out and foraged on it, but then that one goes back to the harborage, which hopefully you found in your inspection and you're putting the bait near, right? But it's working its way back to there. Other control tools that are out there, you have things like IGRs, right? IGRs are insect growth regulators, or another subclass, chitin synthesis inhibitors, CSIs, right? CSI is very popular in all of your termite bait systems that are out there right now, becoming much more commonplace in general pest control supplies too. But there's a role for those. There's hormone mimics, a whole other subset of IGRs, right? You have hormone mimics, reproductive malfunction mimics, all kinds of different things going on in the realm of IGRs. One exciting thing that we did recently at Syngenta is we coupled all those active ingredient classes together in a bait, and we put it in what we consider our most advanced matrix. So the food is just as important as the AIs that you're putting in that product. The cockroaches have to eat your bait. So I wish, I could breach the confidentiality and explain the whole process of how we get from point A to the end point of where you choose what food goes in. It's way more complex than people would want to know. How you end up choosing what bait matrix you're going to put something in. But we harness the power of indoxacarb, coupled it with pyriproxyfen, our hormone analog, and then we put novaluron, a CSI, a chitin synthesis inhibitor, into that same bait. So a product called Advion Trio. Really excited about it. Potential, next level impacts. You're going to further amplify some of those secondary, that tertiary stuff, because that IGR and that CSI, it hangs out places sometimes even longer and not biodegraded as much as your original AI, that indoxacarb was, right? We've done field studies in some very, very challenging situations. And yeah, we've knocked back a population, but not just from the AI, because we were monitoring it, we were assessing it. We're looking at nymphs that are supernumerary, meaning they've grown to sizes bigger than the adults and not gone to adulthood, and we catch them on the boards. Circe, the little appendages coming out the back of the roaches, malformed, roaches aren't looking right, which means these other things are working as well as our AI, potentially disrupting. That wouldn't just mean that some nymph most likely ate some poop from an adult that did eat that bait, and there wasn't enough indoxacarb in there to do something, but there was plenty of these other things. And that kind of that's a long-winded answer about baits, but it kind of combines those multiple control tools that are out there right now, baits with your matrix and your AI being important, IGRs. There are still liquid sprays. There are people going out there. I do not necessarily go around promoting pyrethroid liquid sprays for German cockroach control, but there are non-spatial deterrent sprays like Advion WDG. There's other indoor non-pyrethroid active ingredients that you can spray for German cockroach control and will have an impact as well. But really baits and especially new innovative baits that are focusing on the things that we really want to focus on. Not having food aversion, having AIs that continue to work, having resistance breaking mechanisms in there besides, your poison. I don't use that word. We put up the air quotes, right? Besides having that's the kind of innovation and the control tools that I think we'll look forward to in the future.
Well, Tim, this has been excellent. Again, we really do appreciate your time today coming on here, talking again about cockroaches control, letting us know about the new bait product that's coming out. So everybody be looking for that. It's going to be pretty exciting for that coming out. So again, Tim, just thanks a lot for imparting your knowledge and wisdom and talking to us today about cockroaches and bait and everything. We certainly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. I hope everybody stays safe out there, okay?